Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tap Inspect Update Sneak Peek. Really excited for this webinar, and I know a lot of people have been waiting a very long time, including us, to show you what we've been working on for so long. We're really proud of the new app, and we wanted to take an opportunity to show you what we have, also give you a chance to ask some questions. It's almost 8 o'clock, and I want to wait for some more people to show up. We've quite a few people, almost 200 people registered. So usually not that many show up, but this is why we use this format. Is it's really hard to have a back and forth dialogue when we have so many people on a webinar. Um, we'll be following up some other small groups as time goes by, but for this kind of an announcement and this kind of content, we wanted to make sure that we could get through it quickly, show you what we have, and then take some time to answer some of the questions about what we just showed you. So seeing a lot of familiar names. Greg, I see that you made it. That's great. John, Keith, that's great to see you. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. My old friend Mike, my old business partner's here. I can't believe you made it because you saw this thing in action out in the field when I was testing the very first version. And I'm not going to lie, it was a little ugly, but he was there with me. Paul, excellent. Thank you guys for coming. Mary's here. Um, I'm really excited about this. I'm going to try not to speak fast because whenever I get excited, I rub my hands together, I speak quickly, and I stumble and say a lot of ums. So I'm going to try to slow down a little bit. Almost time to get started. And we are going to be going through a sneak peek of the app. We actually have the mobile app out in the field right now being used by quite a few people doing actual inspection reports and helping us find bugs, make improvements, that kind of thing. So what we are going to be doing this evening is to give you a sneak peek of how it works, what you can kind of expect to see when you get it installed. And also we want to temper some enthusiasm because we built Tap Inspect from the ground up again. This is the third full rebuild. And our first goal is to make sure that the app runs and that it's stable. And that's going to give us the framework to do all of these amazing things that I know you want, and some of the amazing things that we want to build that we think is going to really help you run your business. So we got a few more minutes. Still seeing people coming in. Sharon and Scott, that's great to see you guys. Let's see here. Tammy is going to join me here in a little bit. I'm sure most of you have either communicated with her or possibly spoken to her. She came on board last year and has been great about helping us build our customer success, and you get a chance to meet her in just a second. I'm doing my best to let you know that we're here, we're ready to get started, and try to let you know just how exciting this is going to be. We're going to cover a lot of information, but don't worry, we're going to record this webinar. And tomorrow we're going to send it out with a link that you can watch it. So if there's something that went too quick, you couldn't remember it, just scrub through that video and you can kind of revisit what we talked about. Um, I uh, I think a lot of people are in the chat there. It is on the sidebar. I believe you have to go to the attendee chat. I see people saying hello. That is great. I'm going to try to get Tammy to kind of manage the chat room if possible, but we're going to kind of talk about how to ask questions here in just a minute. So we are almost time. I'm getting really, when it gets to this point, I just want to get started, but I want to wait as close as possible to 8 o'clock Eastern time so people can get in and they don't miss the very beginning of it. And like I said, we're going to move pretty quickly. Let's see here. Give me just a second. I am going to, share something over. We are almost there. Forgive my stumbling. I am trying to remember how to do something before we get started, and it doesn't look horrible, like I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing, because honestly, we haven't done one of these webinars in a very long time. And we're trying to figure out some of the bugs. And I think we did a practice earlier today, and it went pretty well, so forgive us. if we have some hiccups and that kind of stuff, but we're going to get through it. So we are on time. We're ready to go. Um, Welcome, everyone. Looks like we are getting a few more people coming in. I don't want to wait any longer. It's right at time. We've got a lot of content that I want to cover, but most importantly, I want to spend most of the time on the actual demo of the app and also a chance for people to ask questions and for us to answer them as best as we can. So I'm going to jump right into it here. Welcome to the app update sneak peek. And this is really the state of the new app experience. This is the iOS app that runs on iPad and also iPhone. This is not the website. This is not autopilot. That stuff has been building on its own. But tonight, we're going to talk about the state of the actual mobile app. We're going to cover a few things. Um, the big problems that we wanted to solve, I wanted to get those up in front because we've been listening for many years about what you want to see Tap Inspect be able to do. And we know that there were some inherent problems, but we had to do a lot of work to find the next generation to take us farther. I also want to temper some enthusiasm because the first few releases of this new app are not going to have everything. Like I said, if you were here a little bit earlier, we want to get out a real stable foundation with all this new technology, and it does exactly what the current app does. And then we're going to start building on it. Then I'm going to show you exactly what the beta testers have been using out in the field. After that, I want to kind of talk about what these new features are going to let us build next. And if we don't talk about the big problems, I'm pretty sure what your pet feature is, we're going to probably run into in the new features. And then finally, we're going to do a live Q&A with some of the questions that you've asked, and also we'll be able to answer them and kind of give you an idea of our thoughts on where we're going. We've invited all of our active subscribers, so most of you may know me. If I haven't met you, my name is Michael Worth. I'm a co-founder here at Tap Inspect. I'm also a home inspector. I just quit doing home inspections last year, so forgive me. I have not been in an attic or a crawl space in a little bit. And Tammy Parkin's with us too. Tammy, do you want to say hello?
I will definitely say hello. I have never been a home inspector, but I'm a real estate professional. So I've been licensed to sell real estate since 2005, which makes me understand all of you and the struggles that you go through and the difficult people you have to deal with. So I'm glad to help as well.
And that's one of the big reasons why we were so excited to get you on board, Tammy, is because from our point of view, mine as a home inspector, I see one side of the transaction. From your side of experience, you've been able to see what people do with what home inspectors actually generate. And I don't think a lot of inspectors really understand that or get exposed to it. So that's
It's true. And we have time constraints that we work with, as do you all. So it all comes together for sure.
So Tammy's been helping us incredibly get our support and success, and you're going to see a lot more of that in these coming months. So I know I'm excited, and we were just talking about it earlier, Tammy. What you said is this is what we've been gearing up for. So are you ready to get started?
I'm ready. I'm going to be manning the chat and womaning, I guess, the chat and making sure all the questions are answered. So let's go.
Beautiful. So on everyone's screen at the very top, there's a little balloon with a question mark in it. If you type in a question there, it's going to be put in our Q&A list. If we don't answer it, we'll be able to follow up later. Or if you have an unusual question, go ahead and email us. But we're going to be using this question list to kind of go through and curate what we can answer and kind of dive deep on what we're going to go over tonight. So please, you don't have to wait to the end to ask your question. As soon as you think of it, click that little icon and type it in, and then we'll go over them at the end. So, like I said, I want to keep moving. The big problems we wanted to solve. This is where we kind of started with this rebuild of the app. We knew that there was some things that really needed to be addressed. And in our world as Tap Inspect, we deal with different types of home inspectors. And we want a system that works just as well for a part-timer doing a few jobs as a works as well for a multi-inspector firm that's probably doing 2,000 a year. And even the full-timers right in the middle that really have a great business going, but they're not really small and they're not really big. Everyone has different pain points and problems that they have to solve running that size of an organization. But also, everyone has the exact same issues that they want to address in the way of that they're doing their reports. And that's what I think that we're going to be able to address right now. So we knew beyond a doubt, and I think that you've looked anywhere on the internet, on our chat boards, other Facebook groups, we wanted better quality photos. And there's a couple of reasons why we had to wait this long to do it, but they are here. They're about 10 times greater resolution. They're bigger photos and they are able to zoom in. And I'm going to show you just how good they are. They're not just in the app, but they're also available for your realtors, your agents, and also your clients to view. We've also added the ability, or we wanted the ability, to have more types of comments. I think we heard a lot of people saying, and I don't know, Tammy, you probably have heard it too, that is there anything I can report other than just a deficiency or an information comment? And
Absolutely. That comes up all the time.
and I think it was because they were worried about the report summary being too long, which is a valid point. And from your side of things, getting a 4-page report summary, it's tough to deal with on the other side of the transaction.
Yeah, for sure, especially since that's where attention is directed. So you definitely want control over that.
And I think the report formatting falls in that too. With our PDF format, we had a lot of page breaks to try to make the photos fit. I know a lot of people wanted different fonts, colors, things like that. Uh, but we'll talk about that with our HTML report. Another big thing that kind of surprised us since we built Tap Inspect is we knew we needed to improve a co-inspecting experience. And that's when two inspectors are on the same job in the same report at the same time. And I know that we've heard a lot of people expressing their frustration about the lockups and they got to reboot it. And there's been times we've had to revert reports because the merge didn't exactly work as well as they wanted to. So we knew that was a big part of what we wanted to engineer. And then finally, there's the stuff that's really required to run a home inspection company: getting agreements signed, generating invoices, doing report attachments like mold reports, radon tests, that kind of stuff. So that's where we started. And that's really what I want to show you, that I think that we've improved quite a bit of it. If I could beg everybody's patience, please keep in mind that all of this stuff we have done while we were still running Tap Inspect. In other words, you were able to generate reports and share reports and use the app while we were doing all of this stuff behind the scenes. And it's been a huge engineering and logistical effort. And I always got frustrated with Jason because I felt like he was over engineering things. But this is where we are now, and I think that the transition from the old system to the new is going to be a lot easier than people can imagine. So the first few versions are really only meant to meet the current app features. That's it. We're not going to add a whole lot of new stuff. We're going to have better photos and the HTML reports, but I want to kind of temper some enthusiasm. It's not going to have everything that we're talking about in it. Each new version of the app, and they're going to come pretty quick, is going to add another layer on another layer on top of something that's nice and stable. Not everyone will also immediately get the new experience of the app that we're going to demo. We're going to have to make sure that you've migrated your account before the new experience is available for you. So it's going to be a bit of a transition period. We're not talking years, but probably a couple of months. We know before the end of the slow season, everybody will be on it. Um, at the very beginning, some features are still going to be only on your web account, like autopilot. You will still have to schedule new autopilot jobs on the website, but you'll actually be able to do the inspection in the app. But that'll come. And also, and I know a lot of people, this is what you've been dying to hear for, we will not have the wind mitigation immediately available. We will not have the TREC immediately available. We will not have the citizens or the NMPA termite report. These are going to be specially formatted reports, but the version that we're going to see is actually going to set it up because we've got a new PDF formatting engine. And that is, I think, what everybody has come to see. So if everybody is ready, I am going to bring up the app if I can remember how to share my iPad. on a web screen. So here we are in the app. This is what the new main menu works. And if anyone cannot see it, please hit chat, yell something like that, because I've not done this in a little bit. Tammy, can you see it on your screen?
I can see everything that you were looking at. Yep, you're good.
Excellent. So this is the new main menu, and it looks pretty similar to what you see on your web account right now. And sort of the back end of things is we've proofed all this stuff out on the web account because it's faster to develop. But it's essentially a calendar view. Each day that there is a job, you can see a little line on it. To start a new report, you've got your little plus sign in the top right corner, just like you do now. Um, the search is incredibly improved. You can search by almost anything in the job information, not just client, not just address. You can search by agent name, invoice number, reference number, city, almost anything on that screen. It's a very, very flexible search thing. Um, when you create a new report in the app, it looks very similar to what you would see now in the app. You've got your place to add the photo, the address. You can add people into it. Got a little map. We have an ability to add notes like there's a cat in the basement, don't let it out. Um, I want to show you the one that I just did because I wanted to really show off the good photo quality. Here is an autopilot job that was set up from our sample account online. It shows up here, and you can see with an autopilot job, it's got agreements and an invoice, and also some notes about the owner will let us in. So this is the same job information screen you see in the current app, just kind of laid out a little bit different, and it's got some of the autopilot features that we're going to get into in another webinar. The tabs at the top of the screen are just like we've currently got in the iPad app. I think it's perform inspection, review, report, and publish. So we've kind of changed the words. On the inspect tab, it looks almost identical and operates almost identical to the current app. We didn't want to change that experience because we felt that was super important for being able to use the new app, but we didn't want you to have to relearn it. You can see under attic, there's a couple of items that need to be, um, see here, where's the attic, that need to be recorded, so it's complete. We've got photos. Instead of listing all the photos now, we're using this plus number when there's more than just a couple. This is going to work well when you take like 8 or 10 photos of all the roof surfaces or something like that, a big photo collection. And then to view them, you just tap on one and you can see it's a real beautiful photo. You can scroll through them, you can swipe through them. We've got a see all button up here in the top corner, and you can see sort of a collage. And again, you still got your photo editor, so you can do all the arrows and stuff like that. You can zoom in. So the photo quality is really good. The report itself behaves essentially the same. We talked about comment types, and you can see here on the exterior, we've got the monitor condition and repair or replacement comments. With the new system, once you've migrated your account over to the new system, you have the ability to define more comment types than just deficiency and information. You can name them whatever you want. And instead of icons, we're using colors. You can add a color for any type of icon or any type of comment. And then the difference between the comments are, do you want it to be displayed on the summary in the report, just in the report, or we have a new one, which I called private information here. It is a comment type that only displays in the app for the inspector to see. It is never displayed on the report that a client or agent sees. It is a great way to record information with some context in your report that you just want to cover your butt or to make sure that you can remember later. So these new comment types are a big part of what we've done, and I'm going to show you kind of how that manifests itself in the final report. We talked about photo quality, and on this one, I wanted to kind of show what the difference in the photo quality is. You can see down here, we've got a water heater close-up photos. The first one here, this is a photo that's it's not a great close-up, and I think one of the biggest complaints when it came to photo quality was the inability to see text. And you can see this is full screen on the device, but I think it's pretty easy to see that text even with a poorly formatted or composed photo like this of a close-up. Of course, a close-up, you can obviously see it, but I think a lot of times when we get in a hurry, we may take a picture of the data plate expecting it to be zoomed in later. So I'm going to show you this actually on the on the HTML report. Now that's the last thing that we did. The HTML report has a reviewer here in the app. So you don't have to be connected to the internet to actually preview what your client and the realtor are going to see. When you go into the report, tap on that bad boy, it opens it up. Now this is a pared down viewer, so it doesn't look exactly like what your client is going to see, but it's really close. Just like before, you've got your report header, the report summary. Now, since we have multiple types of comments, you can segment the report summary out by types of comments. And I use safety concern because I had a couple of high-end realtors. That's all they cared about. I only want to know about safety concerns. So we've got the safety concerns, repair replacement, or of course you can view all comments. You can jump right to the section where it is so they can get context. Um, just scrolling through the report, you can see it's nicely laid out. All the text, the fonts, the colors, the alignment, all of that stuff is based on a style sheet. So it's a design theme. We're going to start with a default one, but you will be able to change this theme however you like. On this one, we actually changed the company colors. That's why the sidebar here is a different blue and that top line is a different yellow. We did that so it kind of goes with the logo. As we go through here, I think what we really wanted to see was the plumbing on the water heater. So here we go. This I thought was a pretty good acid test. If a client was going to pick this up and they wanted to read that data plate, they can read it. I think that's pretty reasonable. And then they can zoom in on it too if they like. Um, they can look at that one too, of course. One of the big things that we have not finished yet is the PDF engine. So right now it is only printing this web page, and that's what's holding us up for the final release. So that's going to be coming real soon. Um, Rather than publishing, we are using the idea of share. And as long as we've already got the people listed from the schedule page there, these are the people that we want involved in it, we can share this report. We can do a sort of a nice little message for them. Thank you for the business. See you again soon. And you can see on this one, we've got the beginnings of our HTML editor for this message. And we will eventually get that into the iPad version, we believe, so you can use it to do some comments. But that's going to be a little bit down the road. We thought this was a very important place so you could add links and that kind of stuff on the pickup page. So there we go. It's been published. Now to see what the client sees, let's see here. They will be given an invitation to come pick it up. They have already signed the agreement. This is what their landing page was. And let's see if I can get this thing to load while I have everything else on the internet. So when they pick up their report, this is what they see on the pickup page. Of course, it's branded with your logo and it would have your business. Here's the report. Here are the attachments that they have. And you could add more attachments like standards of practice, home maintenance manual, stuff like that. And to view the report, here it is. It's the exact same idea. And now that we're actually in a legit web browser, let's see how good it is. There it is. So that's a pretty good. You can read that pretty well, and I think that's what I think most people were really hoping to see. So that was quite a bit. I know I went through that pretty quickly, but I wanted to make sure that everybody got a feel for it to understand the big pieces. I wanted to cover the better quality photos. I wanted to talk about the different report comment types. And also I wanted to talk about this report formatting with the with the HTML reports. So let's see here. Let me get back. And where we want to go with this, and this is part of the big push that we're doing, is we believe we can help you run your whole inspection business from the field. One of the big feedbacks that we've gotten from our current autopilot testers and the early invitation autopilots using the app or even the old app is they don't want to go from a web browser to the app. We want you to be able to run your whole business from the app, from the field. We also see very media rich reports with customizable design themes. It may take some work on your part to set up the design, and we're not going to give you a full word processor, but we are going to give you the ability to set the branding and the design theme that you want. We are really excited about getting these specifically formatted reports like the wind mitt. It has been a bear to try to figure out a way to do that. So with our PDF engine, it's going to give us the ability to give you a consistent way of collecting information and then spit that information out in any format that we need to. So it can be in the Citizens Win Mitt or the Citizens 4-point or another 4-point. We're going to be able to have that flexibility, and that's going to be coming here soon. Then we wanted a client portal that your agents and your buyers could go to on the web and have everything right in one place by having to pick up a report one place and getting an agreement through email and all the other stuff. We wanted to provide one portal that would make it super easy for your customers to go to find all the stuff that you're providing them. And then also, this is going to give us, for some of the larger inspectors, a lot of agent tools that are going to help you build value and loyalty with your group of agents to help you grow bigger and make more and more money. So we got some questions, hopefully. What kind of questions do we have? What time are we at? We're in pretty good time. So we got about 5-10 minutes. Very good.
Michael, I think we have some great questions, actually.
Okay,
I
let's go. What do we got?
I think you've already covered a lot of them, but I'm gonna start from the basics and move my way up. So everything that you just discussed is still going to be available to accomplish on the iPhone and iPad, right? That's what Tap Inspect does.
That is correct. I did not demo the iPhone because it's a smaller screen and honestly, it's not as exciting. The iPhone version of this is also live. I actually did that report for my iPhone, and it just like the iPad, it looks and operates almost identical to what you're used to now.
Awesome. So, I mean, I guess a couple other basics. So, for the real estate agents that really just want to continue to see things as they are, is it possible to share with them the same PDF that we're used to, or is it just a switch over? We have to do things this way. And I guess my follow up question would be, why is it easier to do things this way?
The biggest problem or the biggest limitation of having a PDF only report was the limitation in photo quality. There's only so much quality you can put in a printed document. And that's where we ran into a lot of problems. Also, the concept of video does not work with a PDF report. Also, the ability to format with fonts and other stuff is a lot more complicated with just a PDF. So we decided to go to a web report. Now, once somebody goes to the web page to view the report, they can download it as a PDF. So they will still be able to download the PDF and then put it in their Dropbox or their CRM or whatever they want. They'll still have that experience. It may not be identical to the PDF that we have now. We're hoping to improve it because the PDF we have right now was designed by Jason, and he's a programmer. It's not very pretty. So hopefully Jason's not listening, but he knows that.
Jason's awesome. Don't do that.
He's a genius, but I think he'll agree he is not a graphic designer. So one of the big things that we've learned from our beta testers is that the ability to download the report as a document PDF is super important, and we know that. But the other thing that we've heard from other users is that they also want the ability to only download the report summary. just the report summary. And so hopefully those two options will give anyone viewing the report enough options to be able to do what they need to with the information we collect. Now, if somebody does not want the current reporting format as a, HTML, they don't want to update the app. And the caveat of that is we will eventually, not this week or probably not even this year, quit supporting the old system, but it will eventually get phased out. So we want everybody to start updating and make it as usable and friendly to their customers as possible.
So, Michael, that's actually a new question. Is there an ability to use the non-updated version? So maybe we should talk about the timeline or what people need to do to prepare for the change.
Well, if we do not have a firm date for the app update right now. We're thinking probably 2 to 3 weeks. So I mean, we're really close. That's why we wanted to do this sneak peek. When you first download the update, it is going to have the old app experience in it. And if that's all you want, you just never update it to the new one. Um, I don't have a firm timeline when we will no longer support the old system, but it's not going to be years. Eventually, we are going to have people update or stick with the old system. And eventually, like some of these other apps, they may just quit working. We'll definitely give everybody clear warning, but the only way we can move forward is to keep updating and keep everybody on the same plan, so we don't have we don't have to maintain 5 different systems. Was that
Yeah.
evasive enough? I don't have a great answer of how long they can use it, but
I
yeah.
think that was awesome. I think the question was if there had to be a clear crossover. It doesn't need to be when, but there are other questions that are kind of along the same lines. So I just want to say in advance, there are some questions that probably aren't right for this forum. And if there's anything that we don't address here, please, if you have questions, email us at info@tapinspect.com. We'll definitely answer any questions that you have, but we're trying to focus on this topic now. And we're also going to have some other webinars moving forward about autopilot and as we get closer to the actual transition. So tons of stuff coming up. I guess a more immediate question, Michael, is when is the well, I guess this isn't a more immediate question, but we have tons of questions coming in about autopilot,
Mhm.
about when are we going to be able to do integrations with payments, yada, yada, yada. So maybe you want to maybe touch on how Autopilot is going to transition into our next webinar and how it's going to connect to the upcoming changes in the app.
Sure, sure, that's great. From what hopefully you saw in the demo, Autopilot is tightly integrated into the new app, and we were kind of a chicken and egg kind of problem. We wanted to get Autopilot out and people using it, but we also knew that the app was an incredibly important piece to make it very, very usable. So Um, you can use Autopilot right now. You can go into your web account from an iPad if you want. You can even use it from an iPhone through a web browser, but you have to use it through your web account. Um, you can schedule jobs, you can use agreements and invoices, all that stuff. We do have a payments integration, but right now we're negotiating with another company to provide us a better rates and a better system. So that's why we're doing it as a beta only. We're probably going to have all of our beta people sign up again with our new provider. So that's why we kind of kept it hush hush. Um, in 2 weeks, we're going to do another webinar because as we get closer and closer, the value of autopilot and the new app are going to become abundantly clear. If you want to use it. Now, I think that's another important thing. We really haven't talked about it much, Tammy, is that autopilot's completely opt in. You opt into it. You're not forced to use it. You don't have to turn it off. You have to actually turn it on to use it. Um, we did not want to be like a lot of our competitors that force you to use all the back end features, and then the reporting is just another piece of it. So when we do our webinar in 2 weeks on getting to know Autopilot, I think that it's going to answer a lot of questions of how it works, what it does, how to go about getting it up and running. And then as you transition to the new app, The first version or two is probably just going to have a link to take you to your web account. So from a mobile device connected to the internet, it works great. But then, as I said, we're going to start building it into the app so you can do agreements and record payment and all that stuff right from the app when you are on Wi-Fi only or out in the field. So yeah, very good question, and it's a big piece of what we are rebuilding Tap and Sec to be able to do.
Michael, we had a flood of I'm sorry, questions come in about that, which is what prompted that question. But
Okay.
let's revert for just a second. That was super helpful because that leads into how we're moving forward. But we have a couple other questions about templates.
Mhm.
So as we're moving forward to transitioning over to the new app, are there any changes that are going to need to be made to templates, something like that, or how does that work when we transition over?
So what we've seen with templates and our beta users, if you have been using essentially one of our default templates and slightly modify it, it will probably work just fine. Uh, all the same types of items, all the condition ratings, the sections, all of that stuff, like you saw in the demo, is almost identical. You won't have to change anything in the template. Um, if you did some major customization, especially in report headers and footers and section headers, when you see that report displayed as an HTML report, it may surprise you because, again, being based on a PDF, it was people started customizing their templates to really fit that printed page. That's not a concept with the HTML report anymore. So you're not going to really know what you have until you can start seeing it as as an HTML report. But that's really the only big change to a template that you're going to have to worry about. Um, when it does come to templates, I don't know if we've got any team subscribers on the call, but team subscribers, they share the same saved comments library, so they can have consistent language and voice across all inspectors doing their job. So anybody who does report, they're all saying basically the same thing. This new version also allows them to share the same templates. So they're actually using the exact same templates. That eliminates one of their chores for them. So, but no, there shouldn't be much you have to do for your template at all. It's almost going to be seamless.
That's awesome. We have a couple other kind of related questions regarding the need to use autopilot or integrations that are upcoming. So, number one, as far as being able to edit things on the web. So currently, you do have a web account, and the web account right now is geared towards mostly subscription related tasks. But as we sit here right now, if you're using autopilot, then you're using autopilot to set everything up. And Michael's going to kind of address this in a minute, how you can use the time right now to kind of get everything situated. But for the time being, autopilot is addressed there. But
Uh-oh. Did we lose you, Tammy? Perhaps we have. Unfortunately, I think we lost Tammy's voice feed. Um, so I think what we were talking about was that um, autopilot right now is set up on your web account. To schedule a new autopilot job, you have to go to your web account with Tap Inspect. The web account is also quite handy to manage your saved comments, to also set up some of the pickup page, upload attachments, that kind of stuff. So a lot of back office stuff is done in the web account. We really wanted the app to be what you do in the field. So here, after a couple of iterations and a couple of updates, those abilities to schedule new jobs and to manage agreements and invoices for specific jobs will be in the app. And that's definitely what we want to be doing. Um, and I will be getting into the idea of autopilot here in the webinar we're going to do in a couple of weeks. you can already start setting up autopilot. You can get your agreements together, services, all that kind of stuff, and we'll cover that when we do that webinar. But you can do that before you update to the new system. The other things, like the multiple types of comments, you have to wait until we get migrated over, and that's what we're going to do with once we go through the autopilot. So there's going to be a lot of emails you get from us, and we're going to be making a lot of Facebook posts to invite you to webinars like this. And we also want to break into some smaller groups with just a few people on Zoom meetings, so we can actually get a dialogue going. And we want to make sure that we have a small group of like-minded people, so we can be nice and productive, rather than too many questions going in too many different directions. So let's see here.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I got dropped, but we have a new question.
I thought
Maybe
your
I shouldn't
dogs
even
went
offer it
crazy.
because I don't.
My dog just went crazy. I was like, oh no.
We're experiencing thunderstorms in Akron, so I apologize, and I don't want to jump in with a question if you're in the midst of something.
No, I thought I had a very intelligent answer to the question you partially asked. So hopefully people
Well,
agree.
I'll review the video later and decide if I agree.
Okay.
All right. So the current question that I think relates is the library going to remain the same or change? And I think that's a good question for you, Michael, as far as how the comment types are going to change. So maybe you can speak to that.
And I think we're actually going to do a webinar or a Zoom meeting on just that topic, because what we've discovered from my own experience using the app and from our beta users is there's a couple of procedures you can go to use your existing library. And you can basically change the name of the deficiency comment to something like a safety concern. And then as you do reports, you can change it to one of your other new comment types and update your library as you go. So that seems to be the easiest method for people to kind of migrate over time. You don't lose any of the text of the comments. It'll just be changing the types that you have them saved under, if that makes sense. Um, if you've got a big library like Kenton's narrative library with like 5,000 comments, that's a lot to do when you sit down. But by doing it bit by bit, it kind of works better that way.
So, Michael, this might also be a question for another day, but there are a lot of questions about our current integrations,
Mhm.
and if the integrations that we currently have are going to continue to operate as we move forward to the new version. Can you speak to that?
Yes, they will all continue to operate. We do not want to force anybody to use anything. One of the big problems that's kind of holding up our release of the new app, honestly, is the ISN integration, because it's so complicated and it's kind of a pain to manage. But a lot of companies really depend on that service to run their business, and we want them to be able to continue to do that. So we don't have any intention of shutting off any of these integrations. We're still looking at other integrations that people may want. I saw one about QuickBooks, stuff like that, and I don't know. Some other people like to archive things on third-party systems. So, no, our integrations are going to stay just the way they are, and we hope to actually expand some of them.
So, Michael, I guess a more immediate question that we just saw, it seems like there might be a little concern that a lot of things are changing. So, can you maybe kind of speak to the fact that things are the same for what your comfort level is, and you have the option to embrace further options if you choose?
Um, well, yes, we want things to be opt-in only. We don't want to force people to use anything they don't want to use. But I don't know if you've watched the news. Internet Explorer is finally dead. It will no longer be supported, updated, or anything. Eventually, in technology, you have to put things to bed because it's too problematic to support or update or to manage them. And unfortunately, the tap inspect we have, and now 5, 10 years doesn't seem like long, but when it comes to the internet, it is a long time, especially with mobile devices. So, I mean, I will be completely transparent. you don't have to update to the new app version at all. But like we said, eventually it will quit working. We're not going to be able to maintain that old technology forever. Um, it does sound like a lot of things are changing, but if you're just using Tap Inspect to generate reports and just go about your business, it should be very simple for you just to continue doing that, although the final report may look a little bit different. It shouldn't be that big of a jump, and that's what we really wanted to do is design it so there's no big learning curve going forward. But unfortunately, in technology, things have to move forward. So if that makes people uncomfortable, I do apologize, and I understand, but that is definitely the nature of the beast.
Well, but I guess, Michael, based on your demonstration, even though a lot of things are changing, still the report writing app is pretty comparable to what it already was. There are just some bigger, I guess, capabilities on the other end. But as far as what inspectors are actually doing, just based on the reporting app, is pretty comparable, right?
I would say so, and we really tried hard to make that simple. We want anybody who is used to the current app right now to be able to pick up this new one and just do a report like they always have. If you don't want to take advantage of the new comment types, don't. If you don't want to take advantage of autopilot, don't. If you just want to go in, create a report, enter the information, and then share it with people, it's going to work just as well as it always has.
So, Michael, what about people that are concerned that maybe the realtors that they're connected with or anybody else might not like the HTML format, or they'd prefer to be able to print something off, or they just prefer that PDF format? Is that still an option, or how does that work?
No, like I said during the demo, there is the ability to download a PDF of the report. And also to download the just the summary of the report. And those are probably the two biggest requests that we've gotten. So if a realtor doesn't want to look through the HTML report, there'll be a button right there that says download the PDF, and then they've got the PDF for them. I think more realtors, honestly, are more interested in just the report summary because they don't want to confuse things. Like we spoke about at the beginning, is some of these reports get 100 something pages of a PDF. So we want to be able to provide enough options for your realtors to get what they need in the simplest way possible. And just like that three columns of inspectors, we've got real old fashioned realtors out there that have trouble checking their email. On the other end of the spectrum, you've got very high tech people that don't want to do everything from their phone and through text. They don't want to get on the phone. They don't want to open up email. And then in the middle are people that have sort of transitioned to one, but not all the way to the other. So just like with our groups of inspectors, we want to be able to give you the tools to provide the type of product that each type of realtor you work with wants and understands.
Uh, So I guess what I'm hearing is there are multiple options. So you can still continue to share PDFs. You can share the HTML, which is going to give you the better photo quality. Whatever suits your business and your needs is going to be possible.
Well, I guess I should be clearer. The new app version will only generate an HTML report that people are directed to view. When they see that HTML report, there will be a button to download a PDF version of it. So it's not like the inspector gets to choose what version they want to do. It will always be the HTML report. But whoever reads the report has a choice of what format they want to save.
That was my horribly poor wording of the question, Michael. Totally my fault.
No, that's okay. But I wanted to make it clear. I didn't want people to be under the impression of I don't want HTML reports, so I just got to flip a switch to be PDF. And that's not going to be possible.
All right. This is an important question, Michael. So, when the new version of the app becomes available, is there going to be an ability to revert back to how things used to be?
Well, no, because like I said, eventually the old way is going to go away. Um, you don't have to update the app, but it's going to move forward eventually. You can open old reports in the new app, no problem at all. But any reports you create in a new app will never be able to be opened in the old one. So there's a pathway to move forward, but there's no pathway to go back. Just like just you can't really downgrade your Windows version, really.
But as you move forward, everything that you've done in the past is still available.
Yes, you can open up and search for any old report and open it up in the new app and view it. And if you have to make changes, you can even publish it again, but it will be in the new format.
For sure. So there are also a decent number of questions coming in that we definitely want to address, but it's probably not the correct forum right now. So everybody can certainly reach out to us at info@tapinspect.com to field any other questions that may not have been addressed now. It's not that we don't want to address your questions. It's just this is a pretty direct forum to address the upcoming changes. So we are going to have another, well, a few other webinars, and Michael can speak to that now. So if there are any questions that weren't addressed now, it's not that we don't care. We definitely want to answer your questions, not just the correct forum. So definitely email us, and we'll be able to answer any up or other questions that have popped up. But Michael, there have been a couple questions about moving forward, and maybe you can address coming steps.
Uh, Moving forward with the new versions.
No, no, no. I'm so sorry. Moving forward about upcoming webinars and
Ah,
upcoming. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
okay, no worries, no worries. So our primary goal was for everyone to see where we stand right now, to get a feel for actually what will be coming out here in the very near future. Uh, the next thing that we're going to do in 2 weeks is we're going to do a webinar on just autopilot. So if that's something that interests you, please keep an eye out for those invitations and join us. And we're gonna take a high level look about what it does, what the pieces are, how it works, that kind of stuff. If you're not interested in autopilot, don't worry. If you want to stick with another system to do scheduling, or you just want to keep on creating reports, that'll be fine. Once we get closer to the release date, which we are hoping to be the end of next month at the latest, we were going to do another webinar, probably by the end of the month, talking about your experience you can expect when you install the new version for the first time. If it automatically updates on you, don't worry. It's going to be the exact same app that you have right now. Nobody's going to change anything on you. It is going to require you clicking a button and accepting and confirming before your account gets migrated over to this new system. Um, there's a couple of things that have to happen, and we'll cover that in that next webinar after the autopilot. So it'll be essentially getting ready for the update. And then once you do get updated, we are going to do another webinar to help you really understand how to get your comment library in the best shape to start using these new comment types and how to add your own. So that should get us pretty well into everyone using the new app to do the reports in the same basic way that you're doing them now, with just these few real good improvements of higher quality photos, the multiple comment types with the summary being broken down into multiple sections, and understanding and getting a feel for the HTML report, and also what your clients and your agents are seeing, so they can you can have a feel for how you can make that experience better. So looks like 3 webinars, boom, 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 and then that should get us to a good place. I think you missed my comment, Tammy, about we do want to start doing some small group Zoom meetings with people that are like-minded on certain topics, so we could get a dialogue going. These kind of things, I think it's worked great with you feeding me the questions, Tammy. How do you feel?
I didn't feed you the questions. These were the questions.
Well, I
So
know, but I can't read them all when I'm talking. I can only do one thing. So
it's you did a great job, and the entire attendance had great questions. So I just want to stress again, if your question wasn't answered, we want to answer it. Either send us a message, or we'll answer it in one of the upcoming webinars that Michael mentioned. But yeah, this is great. We love to tell our customers things. So for sure.
we've been dying. This has been over 2 years in the works, and we have struggled with the design and the back end. It is incredibly stable. The co-inspecting experience, if anybody's working with a helper, we have not heard any reports of freezes up or crashes because we completely dropped that whole part of the app. So we're really happy about moving forward. I do understand people's reluctance to change, but we can't give you a better experience until we can help everybody move along. So we thank you for your understanding, and we also, Tammy, I think you talked to it just a moment ago. We're going to do everything that we can through webinars, Zoom meetings, support tickets to help you make this change. You're not going to be alone, and I think that we can all do it together. And I know Tammy and I, we've been chomping at the bit for this thing to get to this point, so we could start doing our jobs.
It's super exciting, and when you have questions, you're gonna end up with us, and we want to help for sure. So, as much detail about your question is going to be great, and if you are interested, and hopefully you are, in the meantime, so Michael just mentioned that we have a couple upcoming webinars going on, but our help center is full of information, so you can always go to help .tapinspect.com and tons of info there. So definitely check it out. But if you do have questions, email us always. You can email us directly from your app. That's the most useful because we can easily identify your account. But otherwise, just email us at info@tapinspect.com and we're happy to help. Just the more detail about your question you can give us, the better. And we want to make sure that everybody is just off and running as these changes happen.
The last thing I want to add is we have got a very active Facebook group with people that are very supportive. I jump in there periodically. If you've got questions about things that are coming or how people are doing certain things, join our Facebook group. If you go to our Facebook page, you can get to the group right there. They're really helpful, and we always try to keep an eye on it as well in case we need to throw our 2 cents in. So please use all the resources, and we will certainly be here for you. Very good. Well, we went a lot longer than I intended, but I think it was well worth the time, Tammy.
I think we had a lot of awesome questions, so it was definitely worth asking or answering them for sure.
That's what we wanted to do. So, everyone, thank you again. I'm glad you got to stick with us. For those that you did, keep an eye on your email. We're going to send a follow up one. I saw some things about the sample report. I think that would be great for people to see. And also, keep an eye out for these new webinars. We're going to be really uh, productive about getting this stuff out. So, very good. Tammy, thank you so much for your help.
You as well, Michael. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you all.